Synthaholics.
File started.
File started?
Mm-hmm.
File farted?
So farted.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today you have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and David Duncan. Hello, David.
I need some seeds. We can go to the Ark.
Give me seeds from the Ark. Dave, I spilled whiskey on my keyboard, and it's the first time I've cleaned my keyboard in a while.
Oh, yeah? So,
I got that.
So did you find all these other crumbs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's lots going on here. I got some pee on here, too, I think.
Oh, man. It's a soup. It's a long brew keyboard soup you got going on. It's great.
Anyways, guys, we are talking about the Star Trek Discovery episode, Die Trying.
I'm going to die trying to watch this.
Okay, this is season 3, episode 5, and first aired November 12th, 2020. Non-spoilers, Dave, without getting too much into the weeds. Anything you want to say about this episode?
You know, like video games where you talk this old lady and she tells you go get a cat and bring it back to her.
Side quest?
Yeah, like the most menial fetch quest. This episode is a really big fetch quest that starts off with a lot of promise because, we're going to the Federation. It's like, nope, we don't trust you yet. You got to go fetch this cat for us. Then maybe we'll trust you. And I'm like, great. So this is another speed bump episode. I was talking like the last couple of times. I feel like we're just going through these speed bumps before something starts to happen. And to me, this was a speed bump. Another speed bump. I mean, that's about as general as I can go without going into actual spoilers. How about you, Aaron?
Some interesting ideas playing out. Just with maybe more the visuals was fun to look at.
There's some pretty stuff for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's a lot of. I agree. I always feel like Discovery and Picard, they've kind of like put the characters or the story arc into hit a lot of dead ends before they find the right path they're supposed to go, and it gets a little frustrating because it's becoming formulaic for them.
Yeah, it's getting a little tired. Like Star Trek's starting to push me into the apathy realm, and I really don't want to be in the apathy realm because that's where I'm at with Star Wars, except for the Mandalorian. Mandalorian I'm still enjoying, but the movies I just couldn't care anymore about the movies. And Star Trek's starting to really push me hard to that apathy point where like nothing's really happening. They're just doing less stuff than they would normally. I don't know. I mean, even if when they went back to like standard, like, let's go see a new planet, have a story, a beginning, a middle, and the end, like a regular Star Trek thing, I could get behind that. But this is like, it's kind of trying to do that, and they were doing that last season in Star Trek Discovery, but it's still tied to a larger story arc, and you can feel that it's connected to a larger story arc, and you're just waiting for it to start. And I'm feeling like by episode 5, we really should have been moving toward a goal, but we don't even know what the goal is really anymore because they keep pushing off the burn.
Yeah, why can't they tell them what the burn is? I don't understand what the deal is. Like, no, we can't tell you that.
Is it even like? Is there even a point to the season? Like, I just don't understand. It seemed like it was going to be the burn because they're making a mystery out of it, but now everyone's just still shrugging their shoulders. Like, we still don't know anything. So I'm like, is this what we're going for this season, or is it not even going to matter now? I don't even know. I don't even know what they're trying to do. In the next episode, it looks like it's a prison break episode. So, I mean, looks like we're just not going to get any answers next week either. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's get into full spoilers. So, we start off this episode, basically, they go
starts off great.
The Federation home base. They finally get to the coordinates where they go, and they head off, and there's this weird, like, cloaking bubble, spatial distortion. It looks like a giant donut in space or something.
It's like a cream-filled donut, except the cream is Federation ships.
Federation ships.
The Voyager J of all things.
Yeah, there was some comment about it. The Voyager ship is like, a lot of history there, and then someone's like, more to be written, I'm sure. Wasn't something like that? I'm like,
I don't even understand why. Like, Voyager wasn't even a ship yet.
well, I mean, I'm sure they're talking about the Voyager probes.
Oh, probe. Oh, yeah. Cause
I don't know if there's any other Voyager ships out there to talk about, but
I mean, like, I'm glad it wasn't the Enterprise, because that would be way too interesting for us as fans for them not to be talking about the Enterprise if they showed the Enterprise. But it would have been nice if it was some other ship that they would have known of, that, oh, wow, the ship's been iterated on this many times. And then they counted, 10 for the Voyager J. But that ship's still 130 years beyond what they knew,
Yeah, some weird stuff.
Like, they could have been the Constitution, I guess.
The new USS Constitution they just threw out, like, it can hold 2,000 people. I'm like, how do you know that?
I guess they just scanned the crew complement. But I don't know, like, there's a video from E.C. Henry where the Enterprise D can hold 1,000 crewmen, and they showed what that looks like if they're all standing on the hull. Like, it's nothing. I mean, the Enterprise D could hold so many more people. I think 1,000...
that is a great video, seeing how big that ship actually is. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Like Google EC, it's E.C. Henry and, like, Enterprise ship size, or Enterprise D. Like, it shows you, like, how many people... Like, and it should have been even more of a ghost town than what we saw on Next Gen for, like, all the hallways and stuff. Because, I mean, like, there was always crewmen, but I mean, like, I feel like on a ship that big, you could walk down a corridor and never see another crewman. Theoretically.
Yeah, it's a fascinating video for sure. That most of the decks would probably be empty.
Well, and then also, like, the Enterprise J is like 16 times bigger than, like, the Enterprise, like the original Enterprise A. That thing is massive. And, like, so I guess they've scaled the ships down since then?
I don't know. They have detached nacelles.
Yeah, okay. That's fun, I guess.
A flying rainforest.
Yeah, that's like so they can just have, like, some air. That's where we get their air from. Guess Spaceballs never thought of that, having a flying rainforest to provide them air.
Hulls that are made entirely of holographic containment fields.
That sounds like a really dumb idea. If you ever lost power.
Dangerous.
Yeah, if you lose power.
How often do ships lose power, honestly?
I mean, like, they're always losing power in Star Trek for some reason or the other. Well, I mean, we saw that holographic floor at the end of this episode where they were walking and, like...
Which was cool. That was a cool little, like, scene.
Yeah. I mean,
as he's walking across the floor, kind of like, moving
there's a building right in front of them.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some cool stuff, but so they get kind of, the ship gets, like, brought in remote control by Starfleet Command, and they board whatever that main structure is, space station, and this is where they meet Admiral Charles Vance.
Admiral Mr. Mummy, sir.
Yeah, and Michael Burnham's a little too hot for him. Like, I mean, like,
she shows so much leg, he gets embarrassed.
Like, just too, like, emotional and brash for him. And
she's been a courier for the past year. Yeah, one year of courier will completely erase all your Vulcan upbringing.
I gotta be honest, I'm sort of liking Michael Burnham better this way. And she's more of a loose cannon, but she was already. She was
already loose cannon. That's the problem. Like, and the thing is, like, she's gonna be like, I feel like she's gonna be a thorn in their side because she was a loose cannon before. That's how she got court-martialed and whatever. And now she's a loose cannon that doesn't even feel bad about it. Like, she was conflicted in Vulcan Hello. Now she's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna cause as much trouble as I can. And, like, she's so lying to Saru. She's gonna do some fucked up shit, make the Admiral mad at her. It's just gonna happen. I hope so. Maybe they'll throw in the break and we'll never see her again. That would be great.
Oh, we're gonna get hate mail for that. Anyways,
it's not Sonequa Martin Green's fault. She's a great actress. I just cannot.
It sounds like you said her fart.
It sound like farts. So no, she plays the part great. She's a great actress. I just cannot stand how they write her.
I don't. I kind of like that she was like so happy when her time with Book, and then like she joined back with Discovery and became mopey Michael again.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I did bad things when I was a courier. Like, yeah, so? Did you kick ass? You have fun? Yeah.
Kinda. Well, I don't know. Like, Georgiou's, like, they write Georgiou great. I love it every time she's on screen. And then, like, Michael Burnham, I just can't stand it when she's on screen. They can write good sometimes.
Now, Georgiou on this episode was far more interesting, I think, than I've ever seen her before. I don't know what it is.
She was super interesting in this episode. Like she was the best part of this episode by far.
Yeah.
And then,
I was into it.
Ardea, however you pronounce her name, our Trill are basically our cheat code to what's happened between Picard and now. She just gets carted off. We don't see her for basically the whole episode. She gets taken to medical, even though medical's full with aliens that have some kind of necrotizing fasciitis from the inside from eating some bad berries or something.
It's Adira, just so you know.
Yeah, Adira. So like she gets carted off to medical, even though medical, they say like the next sentence that medical's overrun. They're triaging people in the hallways. She gets taken to medical. Right. And we don't get to see her the rest of the episode. And right now, she's one of my favorite characters of Discovery.
Oh, yeah?
Because, she's our link to the past. Like, she's a really good actress. And she's a Trill, and she's got a Trill in her, a Trill slug in her. So, like, she's interesting. She is, like, the cheat code for the rest of the show and the rest of the history of Star Trek. And to me, that makes her really interesting. And the fact that they cart her off immediately, it made me sad. Because I'm like, where's our information? You're taking away our information.
Yeah, so... Yeah, she did kind of like... They zipped her out of there pretty quick.
Real quick.
But yeah, so Adira is kind of like you said, she's off to medical. And this is where they kind of just basically say, oh yeah, that's nice that you guys came here, but you guys don't know anything about the Federation in this time of space. And actually, you coming into the future is kind of fucked with our temporal...
it's a crime that you came to the future.
Yeah.
And I hate that, because Federation had, like, the time cops. They had, like, the temporal Cold War people. They had, the USS Relativity, where they're trying to keep the timeline in check. I mean, just, the whole time travel is illegal. I was thinking about it a little bit more today. It's more than, like, we can't figure out what the burn is without the time travel. It's we can't send them back home ever because time travel is illegal.
Yeah,
it's just such a manufactured thing. I mean, I'm fine with them staying in the future. You don't have to make that a thing. They sacrifice to go to the future because because whatever. But I mean, like, all this time travel stuff, they're just squashing Star Trek history by saying, oh, it's illegal now and we're not going to do it. But time travel and the USS Relativity and their mission would basically help you solve the burn, and you're making this illegal. Why? Like, undo it.
I'm assuming the temporal Cold War, as he said, put a bunch of restrictions when they, whatever a peace agreement accords that they signed during that they had to keep up. So, I mean, technically that's not their fault that they came from the future not knowing the temporal Cold War existed. I mean, it's stupid for, this Admiral Vance to make a big deal about it. So
he's worried they're temporal agents and they're gonna like betray them. So if you fetch our cat for us, we'll forget about that. We'll forget you're potentially criminals.
So that's the other thing, is when they get there, they see a bunch of people sick in their sick bay, and
I love how private their sick bay is. There's like a giant circular opening where you can just look into it. Oh, look at all these people suffering. This is great.
There's some guy getting a prostate exam.
Dude's like jerking off and watching these people dying. It's like, yes, this is great.
He loves it. So Michael wants to help help them out and figure out what's going on with these people. But Admiral Vance isn't crazy about it, and he kind of like he's been playing SmackDown with Michael every time she speaks up. She's like,
We're gonna
basically,
split up Discovery crew.
yeah, I don't know who the fuck you are. Yeah, and basically he says, so she's like, he wants to break up the whole crew and reassign everybody and put new people onto Discovery. And she's like, why would you do that? We have a fully a crew that knows Discovery inside out. We can just go and find out what's going on with these people, why they're sick, and we can help right away because they can't do any warp warp travel because of the burn, but they can obviously do a spore jump drive. So
yeah. Well, they don't even trust the spore jump thing is a thing because there's no record of it. There's no record of anything with this guy.
So there's no record.
Where's Section 31? They know about it. Come on, just have them come out and just tell them the answer. Is Section 31 a secret again?
Well, that's the funny thing is when we have Captain Giorgio or Empress Giorgio.
I think that guy's Section 31.
So that's David Cronenberg. He's a famous writer-director. You might know him from doing the Fly, the remake with Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
He also did, which I wanted to do for our show. I wanted us to cover the 1991 movie The Naked Lunch. We could never get our hands on that one because it's not streaming anywhere. He did A History of Violence. He's done a bunch of stuff. So, Scanners.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's a well-accomplished, director, screenwriter.
Well, they had the Rick and Morty episode where they went to the Cronenberg universe or whatever.
Right, exactly. So, so he was interviewing her or interrogating her, debriefing, whatever you want to call it, and I thought that was a really interesting exchange between those two. Very well written.
I liked it a lot. It was like I said, like sometimes they can write really well for like some of their characters, and Michael Burnham just like freaking falls apart. The only thing I did not like about Giorgio's interaction with him was that her blinking phased out the holograms, and I'm like, really? After 900 years, no one figured out that flaw in the holograms and fixed it or patched it or whatever? Really?
Right. Yeah, that was a little odd.
I was like, that's the only part. I mean, that was just a dumb, like, weird, like techno-babble thing that just didn't make any sense that she could outsmart 900-year future holograms. But other than that, it was beautiful scenes between them two. It was great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And so what they discover finally, Michael convinces the security Lieutenant Willa that if they see their roster and see where they've been and stuff like that, the ship, they could kind of like maybe pinpoint where they got this infection or where they got this disease from. So she says, fine, whatever, I'll let you see that information. So they look at it and they find that it was like at some planet they think that was they must have eaten some food or taking some kind of vegetation or something that they ingested or it came into their body. And during that time, that planet was heavily polluted.
It was something they knew about from the past that
right,
because it was happening in their contemporary times.
But the problem is that they're going to go back to find these old the seeds from this DNA from these seeds before they were corrupted by this pollution, and somehow that is going to reverse.
So they can synthesize the thing they ate so that they can get the uncorrupted genome so they can uncorrupt what they ate or whatever. I don't know. I
don't know if it works like that, but I mean, I guess it's something to go with, right?
Well, I don't know. I feel like they've thrown science out the window ever since DS9 went off the air. They just kind of make stuff up now.
Well, so this is where Saru and Burnham basically tell Admiral Vance that you shouldn't break up the crew. We should just take it. You can bring Lieutenant Willa and whoever else you want to send with us to watch us. And then Admiral Vance says, well, Saru will stay here with me, and if you mess up, then...
yes, we'll leave the captain behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's the Michael Burnham show. Why can't Michael Burnham stay behind? That'd be much better. Then we have Saru be captain. I love Saru as captain. I like how the episode opened up with a captain's log. I'm like, it felt like Star Trek for like the first 5-10 minutes of the episode. It was great.
Mm-hmm. So they end up sending Michael Burnham, which she's just going to be crazy as usual. Mm-hmm. And so they get to this ship called the USS Tikhov, and it's a seed vault. That's what it is. They save all the seats, and there's a family of Barzans, which is Nan's people.
Nan's race.
And which funny, a couple people find out that the Kelpians and the Barzans have joined the Federation at this point, which they were not part of the Federation during
their time.
Discovery's original time, yeah. So they beam over with Michael, Nan, and Culber, and as they go over, they notice that the plants are all overgrown, and there's like different oxygen levels that Nan breathes, so she can take off her little mouth breather things.
Mouth breather
Thing. Anyways, so they find that there's this hologram of the family of the Barzan's family all sitting around talking and hanging out, and they notice
playing strip poker, normal things families do together.
Michael notices that the mom is with the daughter during this thing and singing a lullaby that's the same as that Adira is playing on the cello.
That song created the burn.
We didn't start the fire.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
You don't know that song, do you?
They play it in Fallout. I just want the flame in your heart. I kind of can't remember the lyrics.
We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
I don't want to set the world on. No, the older song than Billy Joel.
No. You have to look that one up later. Anyways, yeah. So she notices and she's like, "That's weird. How would that be?" And as Michael kind of surmises, like, there's no way that could be a coincidence. There must be some weird connection there. So then they find out that as Nan goes through the ship logs, they find that the dad is going. First it says normal ship logs, and then it gets crazier and crazier, and find that he's like somehow phasing out of. He jumps in and out of phase, which we saw briefly in when they first beamed over, like some weird ghost, like shadowy blur thing was walking through the station after them.
I thought it was Predator at first. I was sad it wasn't.
Yeah, it would have been cool if that was the case. So we find out when they start putting the clues that there's something happened on the ship that killed the family. So the family were put into stasis pods besides the father, the two daughters, and the mother, and they unfortunately did not survive. They're basically just frozen popsicles.
Ooh, popsicles. The father's trying to bring them back to life with the seeds, which is why everything's overgrown.
Yeah. So the father was beaming into the seed vault at that moment, and somehow he was shielded by this mass coronal ejection, coronal mass ejection, CME, which we did have a funny little back and forth between Jet Reno and Stamets and Tilly as Lieutenant Wilma, Willa is watching.
You guys aren't very professional. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. This is just how we do.
We're dysfunctional. It's like this. And this is like Stamets is like, this is what it's how we operate. And like Reno is like this. It's like, it's terrible. I keep telling you it's not working for me or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's great seeing their hijinks together is fine.
Reno still always just wins the day for me.
Reno's the best. Like the writing for Reno, the banter between Reno and Stamets is great also.
Reno, Stamets, and then when Reno's being debriefed and she keeps on asking for food and drink.
Yeah. That was good.
That's great. Pretty good. So they find out that he was affected by this, and that's why he's like some weird out of phase. So they bring him out. They beam him,
and they solidify him by beaming him.
Yeah, they
come up with it real fast.
The magic of beaming. They don't really tell you how that exactly works, but just it's supposed to work by beaming them.
Yeah, I mean they came up with that answer real fast.
And so they beam him, and then he's just despondent because he basically knows his wife and the 2 kids are basically dead. And they are in the seed vault. They need access to the seeds they want, and he doesn't want to give it. But then Michael Burnham has to say that your family's dead, and there's nothing you can do to bring them back, but you can help other people.
This scene made me kind of angry, because this is the second time where we've had Culber go up to Michael and be like, you need to do this for reasons, just because you're Michael and you'll do Michael things. It's like, you're the doctor. You could have just gone over and told him the medical thing. Like, why did you need Michael to go tell him? Like, it's just, why does Michael have...
You killed your family when you put them in the cryo chambers because you didn't know how to properly operate it.
Yes, you didn't. It just drives me nuts that, like, instead of Michael Burnham taking the reins and saving the day, everyone else is telling Michael Burnham to take up the reins and save the day. It's the same ending. It's just a different means, and it's almost kind of more annoying them just getting her, like, telling her to do what she would have probably done anyway. I'm just like, Culber, just talk to the dude. You're the medical expert. Explain to him in medical terms. So,
she convinces him. She gets us. Yeah, he gives her the code to open up. It's the 2 moons of the Bazaarans' homeworld
in the name of his daughters,
which was a sweet thing, but heartbreaking at the same time. And we get the seeds, and they're all good. And then all of a sudden, Nan says, "You know what?
This guy's single, and I'm horny as fuck
and dying."
Yeah, that'll be great.
Wait till the skin starts sludging off his body because of the radiation.
She'll just freeze him. Popsicle dildo.
We're not very good at that. So, this is where I got pissed off. So Nan says goodbye to Michael, and like they're crying, like they've been the best friends ever.
This scene made me roll my eyes. I'm just like, I just cannot stand interpersonal conversations between Michael and anybody. When it comes to Michael and someone else, it just makes me angry and annoyed, and the writing just falls flat for me every single time.
I was trying to go back in my memory, especially of season 2, because that's when we met Nan, and like trying to remember, like, did those 2 ever have a moment? Because Nan always seemed like very abrasive, and then she joined Discovery at the last minute to help them out, and she obviously went forward in time with them, but I don't ever recall Michael and her ever having like a...
No, in fact, it was her and Georgou that kept having like weird sexual innuendo at Poor Control's expense.
Yeah, I mean, at least that was like fun.
I mean, that was kind of fun, but Michael wasn't involved. Michael was in the Red Angel shoot doing Michael things.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
this scene just rubbed me the wrong way. And then the thing, like an episode or 2 ago, Nan was like, "Well, I came to Discovery because Ariam was such a great inspirational person, and I needed to honor her sacrifice by joining the crew of Discovery. Now, fuck you guys. I'm gonna go see my home planet again. See ya."
It just seemed weird. Yeah, I didn't really. And then she was like, "It's been a while since I've seen my planet." I was like, "How are you gonna go back to your planet?" I don't know. It was very. I don't know. I had a hard time with this scene. I didn't really... It just felt like they were writing her off for no reason.
Yeah,
maybe she comes back later, but I just don't see what it is. So.
She'll bring the seeds, and the seeds will know how to fly their own ships, and then they'll come save the day at the end, just like the Kelpians.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway...
Seeds will become sentient.
Sentient seeds, right. Yeah, so then we get the whole... the Georgou debrief with Dave and Cronenberg, which was, like I said, it was interesting. And something about it, like, zones her out. I don't know. Like, so there's a scene when they get back.
I think he knows what the burn is. I think he's Section 31 in the future.
Cronenberg has to be Section 31 or something,
because
or something of that nature.
She breaks open his communicator and finds something, and she is asking questions about the burn, and they cut away to what his answer is because she asks some questions about it.
Well, but he seems to know a lot about the Terran Empire and knows a lot about how like the dimensions have been like pulling apart. Like they're not. Nobody's made the jump back and forth between those two.
In 500 years.
Yeah, so there's something else going on. I'm not really sure, but
she's missing her home. At first, I thought maybe she became a hologram. Maybe she's like running around on the Federation base, and she put a hologram back on Discovery or something. Because she was like phased out. I mean, she was like not listening or whatever. She was zoned out real bad. But then again, she might be concerned about her home since, like, she said she heard the Terran Empire fell like 700, 800 years ago because Spock made it fall, basically.
Yeah, I know, right?
And
by the time we see it in Deep Space Nine, it's
the humans are like slaves to the Bajorans and the Klingons or whatever. So like maybe the whole thing collapsed. Maybe like not many people are alive over there because everyone just killed each other eventually.
Right. Well, so basically, the Admiral Vance says, "Yeah, you guys, are cool. We'll let you guys stick around and stay as a crew." And
can we get our retrofits now? Because earlier they asked about the retrofit. He was like, "We're just going to take your ship. We're going to retrofit it. We're going to, duplicate the spore drive." Michael's like, "Hey, wait a second. You can't do that." And I'm just like, "Why not? Don't you want to be able to withstand a 33,000 year old, a year 3000 torpedo, and maybe more than one this time? Get that ship retrofitted, please, for the love of God."
Yeah, I don't know. That didn't bother me so much, just because all their other ships are freaking weird and can't go anywhere. So what's the point of having them?
Well, I'm hoping they'll put the spore drive in the other ships, but and then the Admiral's like, exploration's a luxury we can't afford anymore. We've got all these other problems, so it sounds like Discovery's got to do a bunch of fetch quests until we finally get to what's going on. Until the Admiral trusts him enough for the real mission. That's what I'm kind of feeling is kind of coming. You know what I mean?
And just that last little bit too, where Saru goes into this long dialogue about the Italian painter Giotto about ushering in the Renaissance by developing the 3-point perspective, and Discovery might help Starfleet get out of its dark ages. I mean, that's pretty presumptive of Saru to throw out that he's Giotto of the Italian. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just all kind of presumptuous.
It seemed a little contrived. That's all.
Yeah, I just wanted to see them like get the spore drive. You got to figure out how to make it work without Stamets. Get it into the other ships. That way, Starfleet can function again. I would like to see a functioning Starfleet again. It doesn't seem like they're interested in that. I don't know what it is they're interested in. They're just kind of there. You know what I mean? Like, they're just mitigating little crises here and there, but we don't really know what they are.
Yeah. And, if that's all the show was, I'd be all right with that. If it's just them doing mission after mission. But it always seems like they want them to do something like find out what the burn is, and then you have to wait to episode 12 to find out what the burn is, and then 13 to see how they resolve it,
Although they did mention something, I think they mentioned it for the first time this episode, where they said there was some kind of gravimetric distortions that happened while they were going through the time travel. So Discovery and the Red Angel probably caused the burn. Them coming through time.
They're the ones who did it?
Yes.
That'd be hilarious. Like, you assholes.
Yeah, they caused the burn.
You broke up the Federation.
So, I mean, like, maybe they could do a hard reset on the future, like get them to let them use time travel so they can go back in time and fix the gravimetric distortions so they can unfuck the future so the warp drive will work and the thing doesn't happen. Because, I mean, they've got no clue. They said they've got more theories than they have ships. So, and he didn't even want to give any.
Yeah.
And also, if the Section 30 of the Cronenberg, if he's actually Section 31, and she told Georgou something about what caused the burn, I mean, maybe Georgiou's like flipping out a little bit because she knows they caused the burn, or that Michael caused the burn.
I don't know if she'd be flipped out about that, but what if that Kronberg is actually from the Terran Empire?
That would be interesting.
Like an operative from the Terran Empire.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's a lot to consider. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities, and maybe he's given her a way to do something, you know? So
maybe, because I mean, she seems conflicted about it, or you know, was deep in thought. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, like literally, the Georgiou stuff was the most interesting part of this episode. It was great. I loved it. I mean, there's something going on there, but in general, I'm just really disappointed by the episode because it just felt like more like a speed bump. We don't know what the plot is. We don't know what the focus of the show is going to be. It seemed like it was going to be the burn, but they keep they keep sidelining it over and over and over again. So is it important or is it not important? Because if it's not important, let's stop talking about it.
I know, I agree.
Which is what I was saying in the first episode. I'm like, if it's 120 years ago and you can't use time travel, if it's not that important, why are we making it a mystery? What? I don't know. I wish they would commit to like what this is about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue. It just seems rudderless. Like what they're trying to do with the show and the series. I just don't know.
You know what it is? With any other ensemble cast, series, that they've been coming out as of late, on these subscription services, like everyone has their own story and they're all kind of following through, and you get to see what's going on with them. Like Lieutenant Deppner's, PTSD that she's going through. That's like regarded as a side story. Like that's something that's happening, and we'll just like peek in on it for like a second. But she doesn't really get that much, screen time.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because it's like all these people could have some really fun stories, and we could get into some more interesting things going on with them, and we get nothing. And it's just kind of frustrating that it's just always like, oh, it's about the burn, but we're going to do everything but talk about the burn.
Yeah. Or like, we brought Culber back from the dead, but all he's good for is telling Michael Burnham to do stuff Michael Burnham would have done anyway.
Right.
Like we're using him to inject her into the plot of the show that's basically the Michael Burnham show. And we're just like, well, why? Give him something important to do. Don't make him just shoo in the main character, into a situation because we're trying to make a reason for the main character to do something. I don't know. It seems so bizarre that Culper has been used twice to inject Michael into the story. You know what I mean? Like, it's just bizarre. I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's just such a strange thing. I'm like, why can't Culber shine? Why can't Culber, do something cool? You know what I mean?
I agree. It just always seems like,
But if they didn't send Michael to the planet, she wouldn't have pulled a phaser and shot them. Culber wouldn't have done that.
True enough. I don't know. It does get frustrating because, like I said before, I always there's so many cool characters and we don't get to see much of them. We see like parts of them and then that's it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And then Adria, she just got escorted off. She got like 2 lines the entire episode.
Yeah, Adira, right?
Adira, yeah.
I know.
I don't know. It's just disappointing the Federation doesn't know anything, and they don't seem to have any quest for them to do. There's no big overall thing because however they shot this season on Discovery, they made it seem like the burn was going to be the big question, and so far they're just pushing it off. Because in the trailer it looked like, oh look, we got to figure out what the burn is, or they looked like they were given that from somebody that was their quest to find out what the burn is, and now he's like, we got other problems to figure out.
Which, maybe they do have more pressing problems than the burn because they've been living with the burn for years and years and years. So they probably think like, oh yeah, Discovery's going to show up and you're going to fix something that we've been living for 200 years. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's does sound far-fetched when you kind of throw it out like that.
But, I mean, honestly, if the guy's smart, they would keep Discovery there for a little while. Copy the spore drive. I mean, I guess they could just do it from the blueprints. I guess they don't have to stay, but you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like that would be the thing to do. To get Federation functional again, you need to incorporate the spore drive into everything. Like, have Stamets set up a mushroom, greenhouse in the giant, the spatial rainforests. Give them a little corner of that so they can have shrooms for all their ships to fly around on.
It's got a vision of Saru. You know how he had his room all set up like a forest at one point.
Yeah,
it'd be great if he had like his captain's ready room, but it was like the same thing. But then he had like a chair that was like a mushroom, and he just kind of like squatted on it like a frog. And he would just have meetings like that.
He just eats the mushroom too. It's like, my chair is so delicious.
And everyone just has to talk with him, and he's just sitting there talking to him. I think that'd be fun.
Bet you wish your chair was as good as my chair. Does your chair get you high?
Admiral Vance has floaty chairs.
Yeah, well, that's the 30th century, or the year 3000. That's the thing. Everyone's got the floaty, like, matter constructed chairs or rearrangeable matter chairs.
Right. True enough. Well, I don't know, man. There's the problem is the show's not awful. It's just not. It just lacks things, and just like you wish it'd be a little zippier, and like there's like as we just keep on saying, there's so many cool characters. Tilly's awesome. Jet Reno's awesome, and like you said, Adira's really cool, and I just like love to see more of them. Like.
Well, that was like even before the season started when they were talking about bringing in the first actresses that are non-binary actresses. Like I was like, it's not going to be that big a deal because they're going to get like an episode or two where they're in the spotlight, maybe, and then Michael Burnham, and they'll just be relegated to a background character. It's just going to be like, oh, hey, that's just like everyone else in the show. Everyone else in the show is a background character. I mean, like Stamets and Tilly and Jet Reno, they're usually there, but they got like a minute or two an episode, maybe like 2 minutes tops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of sad. I mean, I'm glad we're seeing more of Georgou. That was, like I said, like by far the most interesting couple of scenes with her. I'm excited to see where how that turns out. But the rest of the episode and the fetch quest, and it's just kind of like, okay. I mean. They had the doctor. I mean, they have the doctor that said, a holographic doctor that says he can determine if they're lying or not. So I mean, like, why did they have to go on this fetch quest for them to believe him if the doctor can tell if he's lying or not? He can just tell the admiral.
I don't know. I don't know what I didn't make it. The distrust that they threw at him right away seemed kind of odd. I mean, I get it a little bit, but it also was like okay, come on, like. You've gone over all their logs. You debriefed the whole crew. Like, yeah, like all of them. You can't, like they're all lying about like being secret agents or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and where is Section 31? Is the Cronenberg Section 31? If he's not Section 31, is Section 31 a secret again? Did we forget that everyone knows about them, even though everyone knew about them last season?
Dismantled,
maybe, I don't know. It's just really bizarre. It's just everything about the season has just been really bizarre, like what they decide about what, because I mean, if it's a secret information, Section 31 would know, or like there should be some like the Omega protocol. I know I keep bringing this up, but I mean, like all the high-ranking captains knew about it. It was a special thing, and only it was like a need-to-know basis. Like, why wasn't Discovery like a need-to-know thing by, like, at least admirals? I mean, maybe the captains wouldn't know, but maybe admirals or fleet admirals would have some, knowledge. Oh, the ship, didn't really just get destroyed. It was sent to the future. Like, records. Natalie and I kept saying this last time. I was like, why are there no records in the future? Why don't they know Riker had a trill? How come the Federation doesn't know that, humans in the Federation created the crazy fast replicating tribbles? Like, they acted like they'd never heard of them before. It's like, what the hell? Like, records. Come on.
It's weird that it's weird that
records, motherfucker. Can you speak them?
Yeah, I know.
Can you find them? Can you Google them on your computer? I swear.
I mean, unless it's disrupted, but or like corrupted or something like that.
Yeah.
So
good. I mean, like, there's great ideas in this show. Like, just like Picard. Picard had some really great ideas, and they just ignore them. And I just don't want them to ignore the good ideas in this one. We're only 5 episodes in. There's, 13 this season? Is that right?
13.
So there's going to be 13. So, I mean, we've still got the majority of the season left. There's still time to dig into these interesting ideas. And they are really interesting. I just hope they don't forget about them like they did with Picard. You know what I mean? I'm just like...
I agree.
This show's got so much potential to be great. You've got a great ensemble cast. You've got fantastic actors. Up, down, left, and right. They're all great.
Yeah, they are really good.
Utilize them, please.
Yeah.
Stop shoving the camera in Michael Burnham's face all the time. It's like back in TOS, it was William Shatner always, coercing them, put the camera on me, put the camera on me. But I feel like it's the writers and the directors always like, we got to have the camera on Michael. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the thing. And that was a different era, too. I mean, it's like people always like, well, they did that with Shatner. I'm like, first of all, there's 2 things with the Shatner thing. One, it was a different era where they wanted to have like a lead man, and then everything else was the ensemble cast behind the lead man. And secondly, Shatner was an egomaniac and made himself, even when they wanted to give like, a Sulu a line or something like that, they always, Shatner would be like, why don't you just pan over to me or something, or
I can react to the line because I'm the captain.
Yeah.
No, but it's just
he was famous for that, and it's like, I mean, they're not doing that with Michael.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't think it's Sonequa Martin Green asking for the spot. I think it's everyone just putting it on her because that's the way the show is written.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same end result, but for 2 different reasons.
And you could still have a kick-ass character. I mean, there's a lot of things I like about her character. It's just that you want to see the other characters do more and be more utilized. That's all. And
even in TOS, the other characters were more utilized. I mean, we had a lot of Scotty did a bunch of stuff. We had Bones and Spock doing lots of stuff. I mean, we had 3 other characters doing a lot of stuff and having a lot of screen time. Sulu and Chekhov didn't get a ton of screen time a lot, but I mean, we still had those other 3 characters with a lot of screen time. And now we just don't really have any. I mean, actually, Culber's been getting a ton of screen time this season.
More so than usual.
More so than Stamets.
Yeah, Stamets is kind of fallen in the background.
Like, Stamets has been relegated to the background this season, and it's disappointing. I mean, I like Stamets. I like the prickly character, and it was kind of fun seeing him and Tilly butt heads a little bit. Like, we get some season 1 Stamets in last week's episode, and then he apologized, and now they're all fine, and their sarcasm is how they work together, even though they weren't ever really sarcastic with each other before, but because Jet Reno's in the situation now, he's sarcastic with Tilly, and that's just how they have fun. I guess. Yeah. Because they weren't really sarcastic. It was really antagonistic between the 2 of them because he kind of annoyed at how smart Tilly was. And now Tilly's in on the joke between Jet Reno and him. Which I mean is fine. Yeah. It'll be a fun dynamic if they keep it going. Because it is a fun dynamic and I love seeing the 3 of them together. It was fun this episode, but it's that was a minute scene if that, We need more of that. Yeah. We need more of the ensemble working together, doing stuff together, figuring stuff out, and that's where the fun part of the episodes were. Them, and then Georgou, and all the other stuff was like, I mean, it was cool seeing the USS Nog. They gave a nod to Aaron Eisenberg, who passed away a year and a half ago now. Got a Voyager nod, got a Connie nod, but it was loaded up. The first bit of the episode was kind of great. Captain's log supplemental, that was nice. I just write less about Michael. Like I said earlier, just let Culber have had the speech with the guy. Why couldn't the doctor, talk some sense into the guy? I don't know. It needs to be an ensemble, and I've been saying this for 3 seasons now, and I'm just scared it's never going to change.
My whole thing is Seed Vault. That's what we wrote a whole episode about. That's what we wanted to talk about. That's oh, okay. We're going to a Seed Vault.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've always wanted to talk about. That's why I said it felt like a side quest. It felt like a bump in the road. It wasn't like, I don't know. I mean, it helped a thing, and in a way, I guess it felt a little bit Star Trek-y because you've got the dilemma of the week, but it seemed like so removed from everything else. It didn't seem as desperate, I guess. I don't know. It just...
Well, actually, for once, it's nice that it's not everything's like, oh my God, if we don't get this, 3 million people will die or something like that. It's more of just like a crew of some fish people might die.
I mean, it felt a little bit more Star Trek-y than some of the other episodes, but still, it just felt like in the overall narrative, it just didn't accomplish much. It didn't answer anything. It didn't advance anything, really. It just was like a speed bump, and then, okay, now we can be friends at the end of the episode. Like, okay.
This episode should be called Speed Bump. Because I think you've said it like 60 to 80 times already.
Yes. I said it a lot last week, too.
Oh, my God. Well, guys, let's wrap this up because there'll be more speed bumps ahead that we can talk about.
Did I run over a pedestrian? Shit.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to figure there'll be at least... I mean, we won't get any answer on the burn probably till episode 11 to 12.
You're probably right.
It's all filler in between. So.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, I know sometimes people don't like that we're a little poo-poo on Discovery, but hey, show's free. Yeah, I don't know.
Show's free. And the thing is, I don't want to hate on it. I want the show to be good, and it's just missing something. I felt depressed after watching this episode. My wife and I watched it. I
gotta agree. I've been watching these episodes. I mean, since Picard. Actually, I mean before Picard, but I keep on wanting Star Trek to really, knock me out and be like, wow, that's amazing. But I just keep on walking away like, what did I learn from that? Like, what did I get from it? And I don't have anything. Like, there's nothing unique, nothing exciting, nothing to even make me think more. I mean, it's not like watching an old Star Trek episode or Twilight Zone or something that you just walk away thinking, like, wow, what a great story that was. I'm just not getting that anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. It just, I mean, Kaylee and I, we watched the episode and I just felt depressed afterwards. I just had a coffee before watching it and I felt tired. It was just a strange, melancholy feeling. And then I watched the episode trailer for next week and it was a prison heist, and I'm like, we're still not going to get any answers next week, are we? So that just kind of made me more sad.
Well, guys, if you have anything else to say, if you have different feelings, if you agree with us, maybe, we'd love to hear from you. Please hit us up on. You can do either email at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can go to our Facebook page and hit us there, Facebook.com/groups/synthaholics. You can also hit us up on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is Synthaholic Duo. And, if this show is something you want to support, please go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Synthaholics, and support us there. All right, Dave. Well, next week, we won't die trying.
Book's back. He might die
trying.
Book's
back, and there's gonna be trouble. Hey now, scavengers. Yeah, that's the episode name.
Oh, yeah, scavengers. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
I'm still wondering what that Hope Is You Part 1. We're going to get that Hope Is...
Are we going to get this Hope Is You Part 2?
You 2. Anyways. All right. Well, Dave, until next week.
Live long and prosper. One and all.
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink. And we'll cry till we laugh. And we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
You can go ahead and say it. I'll cut that part out.
No, that's all right. We're keeping it that way.
Awesome. Just like last podcast when someone fucks up, we're leaving it in.